Not all architects are content to follow the three laws, especially when it comes to the innovation of technologies not born of the STC. Among these, perhaps the most infamous is the rogue Archeotek known as von Buren. Once one of the great minds of the clan house, the Archeotek was a favourite of Duke Otto and moved among the very highest circles of the House of Artifice. Like so many before him, however, von Buren's genius became his downfall as he began using the output of the STC for his own bizarre experiments and creations. The most successful of these was the Heart of Iron, a complex cybernetica rad sink and power source von Buren implanted into his own body. Using the Heart of Iron made the Archeotek almost immune to the exotic energies of the STC, as well as granting him a near limitless supply of energy to drive his weapons and war gear. When the inner circles of the Archeoteks learned of the invention, von Buren was cast out for fear he would take the STC for his own. By the time of his exile, von Buren had surpassed the limited imagination of his peers and left without quarrel, taking with him much of his research and a handful of his most promising students. Since becoming an outcast, von Buren has travelled extensively across Necromunda, selling his inventions to gangs, guilders and lords, and allying with gangs seeking out lost Archeotek. Some of his students have become great Archeoteks themselves, like Lidar, the technomatrix of Ceres, while others have succumbed to less noble pursuits like Frykesthorn Strix, the augmented bounty hunter. As for von Buren himself, kept unnaturally young and strong by the Heart of Iron, he continues to dig into the past of his clan, perhaps seeking the very secrets of its creation. Hello and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon and this is the huge series where I give you every single Dramatis Personae and hired gun in a bite-sized video for the game of Necromunda. Before I get started, please do like, share, subscribe, comment down below if you've used these characters as well, and chuck us a super thanks or check out the Patreon as well if you'd like to support me further. Anyway, von Buren, the rogue Archeotek. This guy is the Tony Stark, aka Iron Man of the Underhive, clearly. Loads and loads of flavour and fluff for this guy, and I have to say I do really like him, and I think I would probably consider using him as an outcast leader at some point soon as well, just because he has lots of cool shit. Excuse my French there. 285 credits, and these are the stats. We've got a movement of 4, a weapon skill of 4 as well, which is average. It's typical of your sort of Vansar champion. We've got a 2+ ballistic skill though, so very shooty indeed. We've got a strength of 3, and here's the sort of main downside, a toughness of 2 here. Now we'll go into this a little bit more detail soon, but a toughness of 2 is always going to be very hard to survive stuff, to be honest. However, on the flip side of that, we do have 3 wounds as well, which is quite nice and generous there. So toughness 2, but 3 wounds does make him somewhat more survivable than he would be if he had 2 wounds, let alone 1. We've got an initiative of 5 up there as well, 2 attacks, and the mental stats are leadership 6 up, cool 5+, willpower 7+, and an intelligence of 3+, which I think is on par, or in fact the best, most smartest guy in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't know if there's anybody with a 2+ intelligence, but I think this guy is most definitely the brightest spark in the box. In terms of the skills though, we've got 3 built-in skills here, which I really like. Cold and Calculating, Fast Shot, and Gadgeteer. Now, Cold and Calculating is where you can exchange once per round either a cool check or a willpower check for your intelligence stat, which is pretty cool when you've got an intelligence of 3 up. So your willpower's a 7 up, so you're probably more likely to use it with your willpower. Your cool being a 5 up, again, making that a 3 up is fantastic. That's just nice to have. We've got Fast Shot as well, meaning that you can do a shoot simple action, so twice per turn if you really want to, and Gadgeteer as well, which is a bit of a strange one on this guy. Gadgeteer, you can change the plentiful trait on one of your weapons to be a different trait, and there are a bunch of different traits that you can have. However, he doesn't actually come with a plentiful weapon. Again, this is a little bit complex, but we're going to go into it in a little bit more detail with the special rules here, which kind of clear everything up a little bit. But those are the three stats that you get there. Sorry, the three skills that you get there. In terms of weapons, though, we've got a rad gun and a rad blade. The rad gun, I really like it. It's a template weapon with rad phage, of course. It's only strength 2, but it is a template weapon, so it automatically hits stuff, meaning that your ballistic skill 2+ doesn't really mean a lot here. Of course, if you did take this guy as an outcast leader, you could give him something more horrific as a shooty weapon, like a plasma gun or a plasma pistol down the track. We've also got a rad blade as well, which is a close combat weapon, again with the rad phage trait, so dishing out lots and lots of flesh wounds here. In terms of war gear, he's got quite a lot here. We've got light carapace armor and an armored body glove, so he's got a 3+ save, and of course, because he's Van Saar, he's immune to rad phage as well. We've got a bio booster, which is nice to have, especially when you're not that tough and survivable. Filter plugs, Medicae kit, photo goggles, and a respirator. So the photo goggles really nice there as well, and very useful to have the Medicae kit and the other stuff too. Now we've got a couple of special rules here, and these kind of clear up some of the earlier things that you're probably thinking about. Heart of Iron, this is the Tony Stark thing that we've got here. When hit by a rad phage weapon, roll a 3+ to discard one existing flesh wound. The additional flesh wound from rad phage is ignored. So that's nice to have, but there aren't usually many instances where you're getting hit by rad weapons unless you're playing against other Van Saar players a lot, and even then, most Van Saar players are taking plasma over rad most of the time anyway, except if you're me, where I go crazy on rad weapons. You've also got all ranged weapons with the rad phage gain plentiful. So that clears up what I was saying earlier with Gadgeteer. It means that your rad gun suddenly gains plentiful, which means you can swap plentiful for another trait, whether it's well, there's a bunch of different traits that you can use there, but they're pretty good. It just makes the rad gun much more scary, and that's really nice. I think one is rending, perhaps maybe shock. Nice to combine with the rad gun with its only strength 2. You're making it do a bit more damage and stuff there as well. He's also got Master of Cybertechnica, which I really, really like here. You can choose 3 items of Cybernetica worth up to 200 credits for free, included in his cost. So that pretty much makes his cost most definitely worth it. Now, you've got to think really carefully which items of Cybertechnica you're going to take here, because I think the one that sort of sticks out the most in regards to his toughness 2 is probably the vascular, I believe, which means that you can take 1 extra flesh wound than you would normally before going out of action or something. That one would be worth having most definitely, but 200 credits doesn't actually buy you a lot of Cybertechnica. It doesn't state that this guy gets them at half price. If it did state that he got them at half price, like an Archeotek, because he is an Archeotek, maybe house rule that, I'm not sure, that's a bit ambiguous there. If you could take them for half price though, 200 credits is definitely going to go a lot further. You probably don't need the ocular stuff for him, because he's already got photo goggles with a 2-up ballistic skill and stuff anyway. I'd probably go with either Torsonic or Motive or something like that to make him a bit more maneuverable perhaps. But you've got some options with the Cybertechnica, and I think that's really, really cool. Again, you can find the rules for this guy in House of Artifice, of course, which is the Van Saar book. And I have to say, I'm actually doing up a Van Saar gang, a Gene Stealer cult infected Van Saar gang at the moment. And I thought about using this guy as the leader in my Outcast Van Saar backed gang as well, but I think I'm going to go with the Gene Stealer cult Cybertechnica crazy list that I've already done. So I might sort of show you a little bit of the detail on that in the future, but that's for another video. In the meantime though, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll be back with another one real soon. Peace out.